Cover up is concepts and characteristics of business, then comparison of business, profession, and employment. The next thing that we are going to cover up is classification of business activities and the meaning of industry and commerce. We are going to discuss further various types of industries, activities relating to commerce, objectives of business, nature of business risks, types and their causes. And the last point that we'll be covering is basic factors that should be considered while starting a business. Okay, so let's move on to the first subtopic. So that is understanding of the concept of business. So as I told you that business, so for the proper understanding of business, we need to know that all human activities, they are classified into two broad categories, that is economic activities and non-economic activities. So economic activities, they are all the activities of human beings that are related to earning money, and they could be in the form of business or a profession or employment. So like if any industry is there, or if any banking organization is there, or transportation is there, these are all done for earning money, so they are a part of economic activities. Similarly, a person who is doing medical practice, who is a medical practitioner, or if a legal tax consultant is there or chartered accountant is there, they are providing their services. They are also they are providing their services with the intention to earn money. So that is an economic activity. And then some people who are working as employees in any organization like CEO, CFO, or the manager or the foreman, they are all again a part of economic activities, because they are all doing, or they are all doing their jobs because they want to earn salary. Okay, so that is all economic activities. Whereas when we talk about non-economic activities, these activities are taken up for self-satisfaction, love, or sympathy. Okay, they are not taken up with the intention to earn money. And the examples, few of the examples of non-economic activities could be like your mother cooking food for your family, or a boy helping an old man to cross the road. So any activity which is taken up without any intention of getting money in return, that is your non-economic activity. And since we are studying business, so we will concentrate only on economic activities, because every business is started with an intention to earn profit and to maximize wealth. Okay, so we will be just considering economic activities and will not go through non-economic activities. So now let's start with the meaning of business, meaning and definition of business. So if you talk about the, like if you see the word business, as it says, it's the state of being busy. So when I say it's the state of being busy, it means it could be busyness due to an occupation in which people regularly engage in activities related to purchase, production, and or sale of goods and services with a view to earning profit. Okay, this could be one state of being busy. Some of the other examples that you can have over here is like a worker working in a factory, or a doctor operating in his clinic, or a manager working in an office, a teacher teaching in a school. These are some examples of state of being busy. So overall, if we consolidate, we can give a proper definition of business as an economic activity involving the production and sale of goods and services undertaken with the motive of earning profit by satisfying human needs in society. So here are certain keywords that you need to keep in mind. It's an economic activity because I told you that it should be related to money. All your business, they are related to money because they are undertaken or they are done with the intention to earn money, to earn profit. So that is definitely an economic activity, and it either involves production and sale of goods and services. So either there will be production or there will be sale of goods and services. So when I say services, they include your banking, insurance, or schools. They all provide services which are, these are intangible in nature. You can't see them physically, but then you can feel them. You can, these are related to your understanding in your mind. Okay, so those are the production and sale of goods and services, and these are done with the motive of earning profit. And through these production and sale of goods and services, the business organizations, they try to satisfy human needs in the society. So when I say human needs in the society, the needs, they include all your basic requirements, and when you're ready to spend money for them, whenever you want to satisfy any of your need, you need to either buy, you need to either produce it or buy it. So in that case, we can't I mean, certain things we can produce, but all of the things we cannot produce on our own. So we need to buy it from others. Then in that case, for satisfaction of our needs, we need to buy goods and services. And that's why we call business as an economic activity where we try to satisfy human needs. Okay. So now there are certain basic characteristics of business activities. First of all, it's an economic activity. As I already told you, it involves all the activities that are related to money. And here you do those activities on a continuous basis. So since money is involved, that's why it's an economic activity. Then the second feature that you have over here is production or procurement of goods and services. So here, when I say production and procurement of goods and services, it means any business activity is definitely going to be related to either production or procurement of goods and services. You, or let it be any activity like production in an industry, or banking, people providing banks providing banking services, schools providing education, those are services. So definitely production or procurement of goods and services take place. Then there is a sale or exchange of goods and services. So one person is going to offer a good or service, and the other person is ready to buy that good or service at a particular amount, that is called as price. So one party is ready to sell goods and services and the other party is ready to buy. The person selling is called as seller and the other one is called as the buyer. Okay, so there is an exchange between both of them. They should mutually agree for that, and there should not be any force. They do it with their both of them are getting something of value in return. Okay, then the next feature that you have is dealings in goods and services on a regular basis. This is a very important feature, that whatever activity you're doing in business, that should be done on a regular basis. It's not that you just do it once or twice or 10 times or 15 times or 20 times, or in a month you do it once or twice. Never like that. It has to be done on a regular basis till your business continues. The most important aspect, it should be done on a continuous or regular basis. Then the next thing is profit earning. That's the objective of every business, that any business activity is undertaken with the motive of earning profit so that it can grow further. Okay, then every business, the next feature that you have is uncertainty of returns. So nobody can guarantee you any kind of return when you start a business. There are possibilities that you might face losses. There are possibilities that you might reach success, and you might get very high levels of profit. But there is not even a 1% guarantee that you are going to get a specific percentage as return. Nobody can give guarantee for that. There is always an uncertainty. And then last characteristic that you have is element of risk. So risk is always associated with business, because nobody knows that what will happen in next moment. So business can suffer loss because of risks. Risk could be related to like any of the mishappenings or any unexpected events, any unexpected changes, right now we are having this COVID-19 situation where we are all locked down, and a lot of business organizations, they are closed down. So that's kind of political risk. And similarly, we can have floods or fire, anything can take place which can lead to losses. So those are the elements of risk, and they are associated with every business organization. Okay, it's not in the hand. It is a business organizations cannot control, but they can reduce the financial impact of risks. Okay, through by taking up insurance policies. Okay, now after this we will do a quick comparison of business profession, and employment. So when I say business, profession, and employment, these three are a part of your economic activities, as I earlier I explained you. So business, when I say the mode of establishment, there are 8 point of differences between them. So business is established by an entrepreneur, and entrepreneur's decision and other legal formalities if necessary. That is how it is established. Whereas in case of profession, people, those who are professional, they get the membership of a professional body and certificate of practice only after doing a particular course. Like in case of doctors, they need to do MBBS, or in case of chartered accountants, they need to clear the papers of ICA, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. They have to clear all the papers, and they need to do internship, and only after that they can get the certification to be a chartered accountant. Okay. Whereas in case of employment, the employment starts as soon as the appointment letter and service agreement is signed. As soon as the employee receives the appointment letter, and he signs the service agreement, that becomes that immediately that moment employment is established. The nature of work, that's the second point if we talk about it. So in case of business, provision of goods and services to the public. So business provides goods and services to public, whereas professionals, they provide their personalized expert services, like services of doctors. They provide consultation to patients. Whoever is not feeling well, they usually come to doctors. Similarly, chartered accountants and the tax consultants, they provide you various suggestions and advices relating to saving your tax. And the employment, in case of employment, performing work as per service contract or rules of services. So whatever the employer has mentioned in the service contract, and if you have accepted that, if the employee has accepted that, according to that they have to work. So the nature of work is as per the service contract. The next point is qualification. So there is no minimum qualification necessary for any business. Anybody, whether literate or illiterate, they can start the business. Okay, there is no minimum qualification. Whereas in case of profession, expert in training in specific field is a must. You cannot be a doctor, you cannot be a chartered accountant unless and until you qualify the specific papers or levels or courses specified by their governing bodies, by their professional bodies. And then in case of employment, qualification and training as prescribed by the employer. So employer at the time of appointment itself will clearly specify that what is the qualification that is needed for any particular job. Like for lower level jobs, the qualifications might be just 10th pass or 12th pass, whereas in case of specific technical requirements, they might need engineers or BTech people, those who have qualified BTech. So that is what, again, it depends upon the employer, that what kind of qualification they need for which category of job. Okay, then the next point of difference is reward or return. So in case of business, the reward that they get is profit. In case of professions, people get professional fees, and in case of employment, those who are employed, they get salaries or wages. Okay, then the capital investment. In case of business, capital investment is required. You need to invest some money whenever you are starting a business. In case of profession, you need to pay the fees of your course. So again, a little bit of limited capital is needed in case, and if you want to set up your own clinic, or if you want to set up your own consultancy of taxation, then in that case limited capital will be needed. In case of employment, you don't need any capital. You just fulfill the you just get selected in the interview and finish all the formalities. There is no capital that is required. Okay, risk, when we talk about the sixth point, that is risk, profits are uncertain and irregular. So risk is present in business. In case of profession, P is generally regular, so partially or moderate risk is there. But in the case of employment, fixed and regular pay every month, so there is no risk. Then the next point that you have is transfer of interest. So transfer of interest, when I say, it means transfer of ownership. So if a businessman wants to transfer his ownership to any other person, he can do it with some formalities. So he can sign the documents, he can sign the selling documents that he's ready to sell the business to someone else. So he can transfer his business to someone else. The businessman can transfer the business to his son, or he can sell it off to another person. In case of profession, it is highly impossible. It is just not possible that a doctor can transfer his degree to another person. It is not possible. And in case of employment also, you cannot appoint anyone else on your place. It has to be done by your employer only. Okay. And the last one is code of conduct. In case of business, there is no code of conduct prescribed, whereas in case of profession, professional code of conduct has to be followed. Whatever profession you are into, you have to follow the rules of that profession. And in case of employment, your behavior is governed by the employer. Whatever the employer has asked the employee to behave, in that way they have to behave. Okay, so these are the points of comparison between business, profession, and employment. Now let's move on quickly to the next topic, that is classification of business activities. So when I say classification of business activities, they are broadly classified into industry and commerce. So when I say industry, industry is concerned with the production or processing of goods and materials. So it is basically goods and materials. Where you get physical form of goods like cars or like computers, or you get phones. So those are the examples of your industry. Whereas when you talk about commerce, it includes all those activities which are necessary uh, for facilitating the exchange of goods and services. And these are mainly the activities that help the industry to facilitate the goods and services. Okay. Uh, when we talk about industry, there is a broad classification for them. All the industries, they are classified into three categories: primary, secondary, and tertiary. Okay. When I say primary, I like primary. These are the industries that are basically related to nature, and they are subcategorized into extractive and genetic industries. So when I say extractive or genetic industries, let me give you an example. So the yeah. So extractive industries, they include your farming, mining, hunting, fishing operations. Those are the extractive industries. And when I talk about genetic industries, they include your cattle breeding farms, poultry farms. So those are the examples where you do the breeding of plants and animals as well. Okay, plant breeding normally takes place at nursery. So those are the examples for genetic industries. Now we come to the second category, that is secondary industries. Under secondary industries, we have manufacturing, analytical, uh, synthetical, processing, assembling, and construction. So when I say manufacturing industries, they include under manufacturing also you have subcategorization, that is analytical, synthetical, processing, and assembling. These are the four subcategories. So when I say analytical, it includes your um, it includes those industries which analyze and separate different elements from the same material. Like for example, oil refinery. So in case of oil refinery, they get crude oil and then they get it separated in different categories like petrol, kerosene, and then you have LPG, or those various categories where you get from crude oil itself, you can get the output into different forms. And then you have synthetical industries. So when I say synthetical industry, it includes the industries which combine various ingredients into a new product, such as in case of cement. Okay, so when you do cement manufacture, when you are into synthetical factory, and if I take the example of cement, in that various raw materials are used to get a final product, and there are several raw materials, and then you get the final product. Okay, so that's just the opposite of analytical. Okay, the third category of secondary industry under manufacturing you have is processing. So when I say processing, here you have industries in which the production takes place in different stages. Like in case of sugar and paper, there are various steps: processing stage one, processing stage two, process one, process two, process three, like that it keeps on moving. So finally, at the end of the final process, you get the output. Okay, and the last category that you have is assembling industries, where you can take the example of cars and computers, where you get the various parts of the product and you assemble them all together, put your name and then put your brand, and then you sell it off. Okay, and the second broad category of secondary industry includes your construction industries. And when I say construction industries, they include all the industries that are involved in construction of buildings, dams, bridges, roads, tunnels, etc. So many examples are there. And we have the other category of industry, that is tertiary industry. So these tertiary industries, they include all those business activities or uh, the industries that are helpful in providing help to commerce, or they are providing help to primary and secondary industries. Basically, you can say that these are um, the tertiary is kind of bridge between primary and secondary industries. So these include transportation, insurance, warehousing, packaging, advertising. All those are examples of your tertiary industries, and these are concerned with providing support services to primary and secondary industries. Okay, now let's move on to the next category of business activities, that is commerce. So as I already told you, that it includes all the activities which are necessary for facilitating the exchange of goods and services. And when we talk about commerce, it is further subdivided into trade, and then trade and auxiliaries to trade. This is the broad classification for trade and for commerce, that is trade and auxiliaries to trade. When I say trade, you can have internal trade, you can have external trade, and you can have there is another third category that is called as entrepôt. So when I say internal trade, it means the trade within the country. It could be wholesale trade, it could be retail trade. When I say external trade, it is trade related to other countries. So that is basically involving import and export. You are selling your goods to other country, that is export. And if you're getting some products from other country, that is called as import. Okay, and there is another category, third point, that is called as entrepôt. So when I say entrepôt, it means import any goods or services with the intention of exporting them again. Okay, so that is entrepôt. You're not going to sell it to your people, you're going to sell it to another country. So you're importing for with the intention to export. Okay, that is under the category of entrepôt. Now the next thing that you have is auxiliaries to trade. This is the second broad subcategory for commerce, and this includes transportation services, insurance, warehouse, banking and finance, and then advertising, etc. So you can have these are the activities, or these are the industries that help in trade. Okay, so that's why they are called as auxiliaries to trade or aids to trade. Okay, now next we move on to the objectives of business. So when I say objectives of business, first objective is to have a market standing. You should have a place in market. Whenever you're setting up a business, you have the intention that it will grow in future, and you'll have a major percentage of share in the market. Uh, that's the first objective. Then the next objective that you have is innovation. So always when you do business, you try to come up, your objective is to be innovative, be creative, come up with something new, so that people will accept your product, they will like your product, and they will be satisfied. You're going to satisfy their needs in better way. The next thing is productivity. So productivity is the relationship between input and output. So when so every organization, they try to have maximum productivity by achieving maximum output at minimum cost. Okay, the next objective that you have is physical and financial resources. That is again You need to have physical and financial resources for your business. Physical resources, when I say, it could be building, it could be your plant, machinery, and when I say financial resources, it includes your capital, the amount that you're going to invest, the cash that you have with you, all of those. So every business aims to have physical and financial resources as as ownership of business. Okay, the next objective is earning profits, as every activity of business aims at earning profit. So that again we have already discussed. Then the next point that the next objective that you have from business objective of business is manager performance and development. So every business aims at improving the manager performance and his development, because when managers improve, when managers performance is better, then definitely the workers who are under him, they are going to perform better. And you should always take care, the organization should always take care of the manager's performance. They should keep a check on his performance, and they should also do some activities or take some steps for their development. The next objective is worker performance and attitudes. Always apart from managers, the lower level workers, you have to measure their performances. You try to maximize their performance, maximize their productivity, and have their positive attitude. So for that, that is the when they are satisfied, if they are having positive attitude, if they are motivated well, then the productivity will increase. And last objective that you have for business is social responsibility, where you try to, where the business organization tries to fulfill the social responsibility, wherein they try to or return something or offer something to the society. And there could be certain examples relating to it. You can have the examples like an organization which has in like Infosys, if they have sponsored a village, or if they have adopted a village, or if they start up a school. So those are the examples where social responsibilities are fulfilled by various organizations, so that we all can have a better society to live in. Okay, the next point that we cover up over here is business risks. So as we know that business risks, they are the possibilities of inadequate profits or even losses due to uncertainties on unexpected events. Okay, so risks can arise due to any reason, and they lead to inadequate profits. So profits will reduce, profits might reduce, and there might be losses as well. So that is what the risk is. And the various types of risk, you have speculative risk, and the other one is your pure risk. Okay, these are the two broad classifications for risk. When you talk about speculative risk, it involves both the possibilities of gain as well as the possibility of loss. In this case, the examples could be like change in market conditions, or like fluctuations in demand and supply, or change in the price, or change in the fashion, change in the taste of consumers. These are the examples of speculative risk. Whereas in case of pure risk, it involves only the possibility of loss or no loss. Either there will be a loss or no loss, but there is no possibility of gain. So like in case of example, chance of fire, or theft, or strike. So if there is a fire, if the fire takes place at any business organization, there will be loss. If it doesn't take place, there is no loss. Similarly, if theft is there, there will be a loss. If there is no theft, there is no loss, but there is no gain. So the gain component is not there in pure risk. Okay. The next point that we are going to cover up is nature of business risks. So business risk, they arise due to uncertainties because of unexpected events, and risk is an essential part of every business, let it be small business, big business, medium-sized business, anywhere across the globe, irrespective of their geographical location, size. Every business has risk associated with it. And then the next point that you have is degree of risk depends mainly upon the nature and size of the business. So if your business is small, the risk is small. If your business is very big, the risk levels are very high. and profit is the reward for risk taking. So anybody who is ready to take risk, they will get the reward as profit. If you take risk and if you do business, you get the return as profit. Okay, so profit is the reward for risk taking. Then, what are the various causes of business risks? The various causes could be natural causes, human causes, uh, economic causes, or other causes. So, when I say natural causes, they might include natural calamities like flood, earthquake, or you can have rains, famine, uh, fire, all those are natural causes. Okay, whereas these human causes, they can be because of sometimes dishonesty. Some people are dishonest, um, they will cheat the organization, or sometimes there could be carelessness or negligence of employees, or stoppage of work due to strike. So those are the examples of your human causes, where because of human beings the business is at risk. Okay, then you have economic causes, where it includes the risks that arise because of competition, price, or interest rates, or the economic condition of a country. So those are the parts of your economic causes, and the other causes could be like political disturbances or mechanical failures. Those are some of the examples of your other causes which don't fall under any of these three categories. Okay. The next point, the next last topic that we are going to cover up is starting a business. Whenever you're starting a business, there are certain basic factors that you need to keep in mind while starting a business. Okay. So, like, first point of importance that you need to consider, the basic factor that you should consider while starting a business is selection of line of business. So when I say selection of line of business, it means which line or which category or which type of business you want to do. Whether you want to do, whether you want to set up an industry, or whether you want to get into commerce, or if you want to set up an industry, then what kind of industry? Is it going to be technical or is it going to be knowledge based? So that you have to decide. Okay, next thing is the size of firm. So you have to decide that at what level you're going to operate. Is it going to be a small sector organization, or a medium sector, or a large sector? So that size has to be decided, because based on that you have to spend or you have to invest the money. If size is big, you have to do a lot of investment. If size is small, the investment levels and the coverage of market will be lower. Then the next is choice of form of organization, form of ownership. So here you need to decide whether you want the business to be a sole proprietorship or a partnership or a company form of organization. So how many people will be owning it and in what form? That has to be decided. Then you need to decide about the location of the business enterprise. Where will be the headquarter? Where will be the other branches? And how the location has to be significantly the location has to be strategically selected, because it plays a very important role in the success of any organization. If the location is not good, it will be a problem. So when you talk about location, you need to see the availability of raw material, labor, power supply, services like banking, insurance, transportation, communication. All those things need to be considered while deciding upon the location of business enterprises. Then you need to see the financing, the proposition, whatever business you are going to take up, how is the financing for that going to take place? How much money you need for that particular business? What part you will be contributing? What part others will be contributing? How much you will be taking loan? Or whether you will be taking up some more partners in your organization. So you have to decide that the amount of investment that you need will be funded in what way. So that is what financing the proposition, where you need to decide about the proper financing plan has to be done. Okay. Then the next point is plant. It's your plant layout. So sorry, physical facilities. So when I say physical facilities, they include the facilities like what all machines you will be needing, where will what equipments you need, your building, and while starting the business, uh, how many machines you need, what capacity of machines, where are you going to locate, from where you are going to get them. So physical facilities, you need to make the physical facilities available at your plant or layout, at your location. And then the next basic factor that you need to consider is your plant layout. So when I say plant layout, it means um, you have to show that arrangement of facilities. So whatever physical facilities that you have, like machine, building, number of rooms, number of chairs, tables, and systems, or computers, or laptops, where are you going to place them, which location? So you have to design that location. That is called as plant layout, where you specifically show the arrangement of the facility, and it's basically the arrangement of machines and equipments that are needed to manufacture the product. Okay, then you need to talk about the competent and committed workforce. When you get the things, when you get the physical things set up at already settled, now you need some people who are going to work for you. So you need to see what competency you need for which category of job, and how those people who are going to be selected can be committed to your organization. So that is again an important aspect, because human resource plays a vital role, as they are the ones who are going to use or utilize all other resources to earn the profit. Okay, and then you have tax planning, um, where you need to follow, you need to try to find out that how advanced tax you can pay, or how you can reduce your taxes at the end of the year. So that tax planning has to be done. And launching the enterprise, that the final basic factor. So how you're going to launch, when you're going to launch, are you going to do a special event for that? Have you done all the legal formalities? So all those things need to be decided, how you're going to promote the campaign for the launch of your enterprise. Okay, in that case, you can call up a celebrity. Those all things